Ah, space, the vast expanse of nothingness that all humans have wondered about at least once in their lives, including me. Like, how did we get here? Are we all alone? Are we all but just a speck of dust in this silent yet active universe? These are all questions that make up a government organization known as NASA, whose life's work is to literally figure out all of those questions. Today, hundreds of people assist in making missions to space productive and safe. It is a very tedious process, but more often than not, the results brought back to our mother planet are worth it for all that work. Most would say that this is relatively safe, and now it is. But it wasn't like that before. Which begs the question, what had to happen for the numerous safety standards to be implemented in the modern day? Well, two examples could be applied to these questions, and their names are Space Shuttle Challenger and Space Shuttle Columbia. Challenger, of course, is more well known compared to Columbia, but both have the same amount of significance when it comes to the rules and regulations that NASA has today. Compared to the 1900s and the 2000s, the risk for launch and landing have decreased from 0.22 to 0.06, which may not look like a huge number when I'm saying it, but this is huge when you consider the accidents that didn't need to happen. Which brings us to the well-known among the fleet of shuttles, the Challenger. The Challenger was not built, but rather converted from a thing called the Structural Test Article, or STA-099. The conversion was completed in 1982 and was completely rolled out and launched in April 1983 on a mission known as Mission STS-6. During its years of operation, the Challenger spent a total of 62 days in space, as well as making almost 1,000 orbits around Earth. It soon replaced Columbia as the leader of the fleets, as it was flown the most throughout its time, while Columbia was barely active. However, in 1986, on its 10th flight, the Challenger shuttle broke up 73 seconds after takeoff, tragically killing the passengers on board, one of them being a school teacher. Her name was Krista McAuliffe, who would have been the first teacher in space. Among the 6 others, there was Michael J. Smith, Francis R. Scooby, Ronald E. McNair, Ellison S. Onizuka, Gregory B. Jarvis, and Judith A. Resnick. May they all rest in peace. As of today, experts say that the accident could have been avoided. NASA administrators actually ignored the warnings of engineers and did not delay the launch. Had they waited for a warmer day, the shuttle and its occupants would have had an entire lifetime ahead of them. As we reflect on the tragic loss of the Challenger and the lessons learned, it is essential to recognize that the quest for safety in space travel is an ongoing journey. Just as the Challenger's disaster prompted significant changes in procedures and protocols, another pivotal incident would eventually expose further vulnerabilities in NASA's operations. This brings us to the Space Shuttle Columbia. Columbia was built before Challenger, and it ran the longest between the two shuttles. Construction started somewhere in 1974 and ended after 2 years in 1976. Its first ever flight was 5 years later in 1981. It was the first of 5 shuttles in the fleet and ran for about 3 decades, completing 28 missions, 4,000 orbits around Earth, as well as spending over 300 days in space. It was also one of the few ships at the time that had ejector seats. In 2003, Columbia would experience its final flight, but quite literally go out with a bang. Upon re-entry into the atmosphere, the shuttle would disintegrate and catch fire, killing everyone on board and destroying most of the scientific payloads aboard. 30 to 40% of the shuttle was found and recovered. Among those scraps were professionals able to find what actually caused the shuttle to malfunction in the first place. A piece of foam that had broken off during launch struck the left wing and caused the failure. May all who were on board rest in peace. Now, this incident could have been avoided as well. The design flaws in the shuttle itself were obvious to engineers, and those concerns weren't acknowledged or listened to. Higher-ups were essentially ignorant and clueless, and sadly, there were lives to pay for that. So that brings us to the big question. What did NASA learn from all these accidents? Well, the simple answer is that a lot, and I mean a lot more safety protocols were put in place, especially after Challenger. For example, more transparent communication was enforced, as well as the creation of a new safety office, which should have been established long before these incidents. On top of those two things, more include the new mandates for orbit inspection, the requirement for a rescue vehicle upon launch, as well as better hardware for greater safety and a focus on debris management and crew safety. Most of these things are good, right? One would say so, but it makes you wonder why they weren't there in the first place. I have an answer for all that. Plain and simple, it's because of the pressures of first-time space exploration and pressure from the Cold War, but that's a story for another day.